Okay, this one says, how do you go about making teen stepkids feel like a part of your family?
Well, I wrote a few things down about that.
Okay.
Good, go.
I think that they will feel a part of your family when you include them as part of the family. Obviously, I'm thinking teen, I'm thinking 13 to 18. You know, you as the parent, the step parent, are never going to be able to replace the other parent in that sense, because they're a lot older at that. You know, that stepchild's older. I would never badmouth the other parent, the birth parent that's not in the home, ever.
Ever.
I don't care what you think about them.
Nope.
I don't care what they've done. You never badmouth them to that. And I also believe that you should take some one-on-one time with them too. So do something special. You know, if it's a mom asking the question for her stepson, take him to a sporting event that he likes to go to. If it's a dad, you know.
Yeah, find out what they like, and then do something in that direction.
And encourage them. One of the things that I've appreciated about my husband since day one, and the girls aren't his by birth, they were 4 and 2 when we got together, is he's never once ever not treated them like they weren't his children. He married a family. So he's always treated the girls like his own children. And
don't you think too, like, you have to be not offended, which
Not
I think is
offended.
very hard.
Yes,
I'm not
that's
saying
what
it's
mine-
easy. Not offended when they come tell you about the other mama.
Yes.
And what she says and all that, you know, because I mean that can make some steam come out of your nose depending on what they were saying. But you have to just not take that personal. That's their mom or their dad.
Right.
And so whether they're acting right or not acting right, you're still trying to help them have a good relationship with their real mom and dad.
Right.
And I have a friend too who the mom died and she married into the family.
Right.
And she was having a hard time because the kids didn't like her. I mean, she's really nice, you know. So what she did was she was going through some things living in the house, and she found a quilt that the mom had started. So she finished it. And she gave it to him as a present and said, I just felt like your mom probably would have wanted you guys. And, you know, that endeared them. They love her. You know, so it's like you're just trying to think of ways that you can, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
you can be on their side, I guess, sort
yes,
of.
And be on their side. And if it comes to discipline or things that you feel need to change, let the birth parent of the home be the one to do that. You should try to be the nice guy as much as possible. Even to the extent of playing that, what's that adage, oh, bad cop, good cop. So,
Yeah.
you know, in some things you can kind of step in and kind of take their side. But of course, have that set up between you and your spouse beforehand.
Yeah. And I think that's hard too because teenagers are hard.
Yeah, they are.
Let
Hard whether
alone,
they're your birth
there's
ones or
somebody
not.
else
Yeah.
trying to tell you what to do, and they're like, "You're not my mom."
Yeah.
You know, I totally get that.
Just thinking that situation, like teenager, step, like there's other family involved.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk
Yeah.
about that's a difficult, that right there is like being a Christian. That's what it's about, because you better have your patience on and
Yeah.
be living the life to have the power to overcome a situation, because they're so difficult.
Yes, and if there wasn't a death in the family, like the spouse that didn't die, then you have to. So let's set that aside. If it's for any other reason like divorce, it's not the child's fault that the mother and father
Right.
got a divorce.
Right.
And so the step parent should understand that right from the very beginning. There's pain, there's hurt, there's wanting. I mean, I am 60 years old, and when both my parents were alive, I would still sometimes have dreams about them getting back together. As an
always
older
want
woman.
that. They
You
wish
always
that.
want that because the Bible says that divorce covers our garments and violence.
So then if you married, like let's say there's a daddy with kids, and
Yeah.
you marry into that, now they're a little miffed because now their mom and dad
Right.
can't get back
They can't get
together.
back together.
So, you know, they think of you like that maybe. And then also I was thinking too is I have a friend who, you know, that's happening, and they're having to share their dad with the new wife's kids.
Yes.
And they don't like it. They express that, like, I don't like it that you're spending time with those kids. But, you know, they have to. So anyways, you got to think of all the dynamics that are happening with kids.
It's not going to be easy, but I believe with the Lord and a lot of love and prayer, you can get through it. You really can.
Win them over.
But I when I read that, I'm like, well, you just include them because they're your kids. You chose to be their parent. If you said yes, or if you're the man and you asked the wife and she said yes, then what you asked her was, I want you as a wife, but I also want your kids as my kids, and the reverse is true. So you asked to be a part of that family, or you said yes to being a part of that family that comes with all of that. So just include them. They're your kids now. Treat them like that. I mean, you treat them like that.
Yeah.
One of the most a valuable thing that Pastor Steve taught me when I first got saved is that you don't listen to what somebody's saying, but why they're excuse me,
why they're saying it.
why they're
Try to
saying
figure
that.
out why they
I think of that in that
Yeah,
situation
it's
because
good.
because teenagers are spouting off, and you already mentioned you quoted that verse about divorce and all the emotions are going through and
Yes.
blame shifting, and it's really hard on them. So, I think of I hate you or saying stuff and a lot of times it's hard not to take that personally, especially I think of a mom where they're like, oh, my kid hates me. But if you look at why they're saying it, I think it would help a lot more to speak to their heart.
And I think just in general, being a child that has parental expectations, and I think of myself when my dad married my stepmom Shirley. I love Shirley. She was a good stepmom, but she still didn't like some of the things I did. She didn't like what Mitch and I chose to do for a living. She wanted me to work hard. She always felt that I should have a full-time job. Well, I didn't. And so there's always going to come baggage with that. And so as a step-parent, we just need to be wise to that. I wasn't raised by her. My mom raised me to want to be a mom and a wife and to just stay home with my kids if at all possible. That's how I was raised. And I was excited about that. Where Shirley was raised to work hard, even though she was a wife and had a family. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I always kind of felt like I wasn't good enough for her for a long time because she had these expectations on me. But as I matured and grew past that, then it was okay. So all of that to say is that you may have expectations for your family, but this teenager was not raised by you to this point. So you have to put some patience in there and some acceptance and just
and I
help
think
them.
you better be on your knees every
Yes,
single
every
morning
day.
before you go and talk with them, right?
Yeah.
God will give you insight to all that
will.
kind of stuff.
I hope that made sense what I said. But.